Ottawa and Canada in general. Today we are talking about some very serious issues, which in my view is not sufficiently being delved into by journalists, bloggers, researchers, and various people on YouTube pundits, for lack of a better word. And this I've been talking a lot about, based upon my international relations background at University of Toronto, Norman Patterson School of International Affairs at Carleton, and my research into dictatorial regimes, particularly the rise of Adolf Hitler in Nazi Germany. We need to, as Canadians, there's been debates going on with respect to the Saab-Gripen, and a very important, initiative in my view for Canadian sovereignty. But this initiative we really won't get the benefits of the Saab-Gripen, until about 3 years. So it's a 3-year timeline where indeed we can start to prepare for it. But in terms of getting these military jet fighter planes with Canadian technology, reviving the Arrow, all that good stuff that people have been talking about and Sweden has been promising, that's going to take some time. So with that said, as Canadians who are concerned about sovereignty, the world is concerned about the peace, we need to start thinking about what is going on right now with Trump and the Trump regime. We have some very, very serious matters taking place that some people understand. I can tell from what, the language that our prime minister is using, he seems to understand it. But here's the issue, first of all. The issue is that we have two sort of crazy responses, two crazy sides, rather, in this debate going on with Greenland. And it's going to put the world in a very dire spot unless we as Canadians are able to cut right through these two sides that are both acting very bizarre. Now, what's the side one? Side one that we all pretty much know about is Trump being obsessed about Greenland, which is basically he wants to take over, Canada, as well. And we all know it in the Newsweek. He had another, in terms of his sociopathic, rants. He has portrays the United States and the American flag, covering Canada and Greenland. This is what his target. This is why he wants Greenland. He wants to annex Greenland and Canada. But it goes far beyond that. It goes way far beyond that. So I'm going to so far, I have, from Trump has started talking about, the Canada's the 51st state, his ambition. Most people thought it was a joke. I didn't think it's a joke. And since that time, I've been seeing moving lockstep, which in the exact same direction that I expected him to move. And it's incumbent upon myself now to warn everybody that if we don't take steps right now, this is what's going to happen. So we have one side. We have crazy madness going on from the Trump side, kind of the Hitler 2, for lack of a better word. And then we have the outrageous response by the Europeans, sending a small handful of soldiers in Greenland, apparently less than 20, could be 30, might be 15, to apparently show solidarity for Greenland. That is outrageous. That is not going to stop the Americans. At the same time, we have alarm bells going off by former ex-U.S. intelligence military people like Malcolm Nance, who says that, he's from his the tea leaves, The Trump is getting organized to invade Greenland, and he's using the code name Minnesota, organizing his elite paratroopers to storm all the airfields in Greenland, to seize control of it in a blitzkrieg operation, similar to how Hitler moved into Poland and took over Austria. Blitzkrieg 2. And we have the premier of Greenland saying that, oh, well, we should start to prepare for an invasion. Looks like it's potentially going to be inevitable, hopefully not. With the Europeans, with their scarce, their small contingency of token soldiers. We as Canadians cannot afford this Trump narrative to manifest. We cannot afford, as Canadians, to allow Greenland to be protected by that small, outrageous contingency of less than 30 soldiers, reportedly. We cannot afford it, because I'm going to tell you my conjecture of what's going to happen if this plays out. Okay, so what's going to happen if this plays out? With Europe's token contingency is the first. Trump seizes Greenland. He then sweeps the whole of the North, based upon a pretext that he's trying to shore up security of the Arctic, but it's basically to militarily control Canada. Then he just sweeps and these military contingency just takes up operations, these U.S. military in Inuit lands in the north, and then sweeps down, all in the name of protecting Canada, but it's for control of Canadian resources and putting the final chapter of Canada. So that's what we as Canadians have to look forward to if we allow Trump to seize control of Greenland. But it doesn't stop there, the narrative. So what's going to happen after that? So Trump seizes control of Greenland, Canada, then he just sweeps and controls Mexico, and takes over Mexico on the name of drugs, protecting Americans from drugs. Then the Latin America quickly falls. South America is then quickly falls. Then while this is taking place, he also starts to move in Iceland, because Iceland doesn't have any, a way of protecting itself from the United States. But he's not going to stop at Iceland. What's going to happen? The whole world is going to, while this is taking place, we have a world which has a lot of bad in it, but still is kept in check by the rule of law to a certain extent, which prevents the whole place going into chaos. But what the chaos is was going to be happening, the whole world is evil is going to completely sweep in the world, and it's going to go into a quick spiral, because Trump is then going to move into Iceland. Russia's going to be seeing this. It's going to start to seize Taiwan, seize Ukraine. Well, then Japan falls once again under Chinese control. Russia starts to just consolidate Asia. Africa eventually falls. And then while this is taking place, what's going to happen with Europe? Well, what's going to happen with Europe is that Trump is going to then try to, in his, take over Western Europe, while Russia starts to move back into former Soviet-controlled Europe. That's going to lead, in my estimation, to some sort of so-called limited nuclear war, which is going to and the whole place is going to, become one big hellscape. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. This is what we as Canadians, what the world has to look forward to. Trump is not going to stop at anything. Russia and China, the whole world is going to fall under an authoritarian dictatorship. Europe is no longer going to exist the way it is now. Everything is going to be destroyed. And then after Trump consolidates power, he's then going to turn more against his people. We're going to have the repeat of the concentration camps. We're going to have the repeat of, of racism, concentration camps, World War II style Nazi. But this time it won't be the Jews who are targeted on the concentration camp. It'll be all the so-called colored people, the visible minorities. This is what we have. This is what we're going to have. This is what we have to look forward to. So that's enough for this particular edition. This next video, I'm going to be dealing with how we as Canadians can prevent this from manifesting. Look forward to it again. We can't rely on the Saab-Gripen in 3 years. We have to act now. We can, if we as Canadians don't want this hellscape to manifest from the takeover of Greenland, we start to spiral in a whole domino effect of taking over Canada, his so-called Dawn Road doctrine, taking over the Western Hemisphere, and moving into Europe, and Russia consolidating Asia, and Japan falling, and Taiwan falling, the whole place going under a complete AI-controlled dystopia. We as Canadians need to start acting now. Thanks for watching.